The season is over. The Nittany Lions finished 6-6 and still have much more to prove. They face the Boston College Eagles in the new era Pinstripe Bowl in Yankee Stadium in New York City. The Nittany Lion defense is one of the best in the nation, the best run defense in the country, and the best points defense in the country, as they look to shut down the Boston College Eagle offense today in Yankee Stadium on national television. James Franklin is coming off of his first season as the Nittany Lions head coach. He hopes to prove to the nation today why Penn State belongs back in the conversation as one of the best teams in college football. It's the last game for many seniors that have meant a great deal to this Penn State football program. They look to go out today and finish their Penn State football career in winning fashion. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming to you live from New York City at Yankee Stadium, where today the Penn State Nittany Lions will be taking on the Boston College Eagles in the new era Pinstripe Bowl. What a season it's been. I am joined by my good friend Michael Straw once again. You guys probably remember him from the beginning of the season. We made a video. Michael, how you been doing?
I've been doing great. New York has definitely treated us well, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to be back at football again. It's been 3 weeks, but it seemed like forever since that Michigan State game. Playing here in New York City, I think it's pretty special for this team, these seniors, and I know it's definitely special for Coach Paterno, who grew up not far from here. Remember, these seniors are the last of the Paterno effect on this program. He recruited these young men who are now captains and great leaders, and probably some of them on their way to the NFL. Mike Hall, who's just been outstanding. Sam Ficken, who's came around. Adrian Amos. I mean, the list goes on. So this is definitely a big day for them. Hopefully can get the win for Coach Paterno. How do you feel about today?
Today, I can definitely say that we need all of these seniors to step up one last time if we're gonna pull out this 20th victory over Boston College. I can definitely say the venue is great. It's perfect for where we need to be. Boston College is nearby. We're right nearby. The fan base for Penn State is all ready to go, and I can definitely say our base is going to be representing us well. Now, Amos, Hall, Ficken, they all need to pull through, and I think they will. What I'm worried about today is just our offense, and I think they're going to be corrected after 3 weeks of training, and I think we're going to do all right today.
Yeah, after listening to Christian Hackenberg talk, he sounds like he's feeling much more confident after the 3 weeks that they've had. It's time for him to get some rest. You know, he was sacked 42 times this season, so.
I lost count after the first 4 games.
I believe it's 42. You just look at these opponents. Michigan State's quarterback was sacked maybe like 10 times, and here comes Hackenberg, 42. That definitely takes a toll on a quarterback, no matter how good you are, how much experience you have. Granted, he's still a young football player developing in college football.
Oh, yes.
I believe that this is a good chance, these 3 weeks, for the line to get some improvement, the receivers to get some improvement. I know bye weeks have hurt us in the past. I just hope that these 3 weeks were productive. I feel confident with the team after watching them practice. I feel that they're definitely ready to go. Boston College is a great opponent. I'm very excited about this bowl game. I was excited when they announced it. I think it's going to be a great game. What do you think about Boston College?
Well, I think Boston College is a good team. They have a one-trick pony, in my opinion, with Tyler as their quarterback, but I think he's still a very excellent quarterback. He's a running threat, and he's a passing threat. I think we can disable him in terms of the running. Now, the passing is a different story. It depends on who he passes to, and if he fakes it. Because if he fakes it, then the running defense might not be ready. So we might not be set to stop that. And I mean, but our defense is prepared for this because we faced the Braxton Millers and the Gardners before in our division, and these seniors know what's going to happen. So maybe we'll be able to stop them there. What's going to be troublesome is our offense. We have to make sure that we get more than 54% completions that Hackenberg has been getting this season. If we can get over 54% completions, we don't have to really worry about the defense as much. We'll just outscore them, and that's fine because Boston College is averaging about 26 points per game, but the difference is that we're averaging for our opponents only 17 points a game for them. So we're going to bring them down. Now we just got to outscore them, and I think we can do it.
Yeah, I think the way that the defense has been playing this year is just phenomenal. It's been stout defense, one of the best defenses in the country. The best run defense in the country is Penn State. Best points defense is Penn State until the Michigan State game. But think about how long that defense would be out there during the game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they would be out there for 40 plus minutes.
I know.
And to be a successful football team, unfortunately, you cannot have your defense out there for that amount of time, and your offense has to be out there for more than 20 minutes.
Oh yes, and I think this will be a game changer because of Boston College. Their defense is not as good as ours. I think that Hackenberg is going to get a little bit more time in the pocket, and if he can get a little bit more time, I think that's just what he needs because the Big Ten. Most of the teams are ready to stop him. Their defenses are not the same as Boston College. I think Boston College is going to have some trouble stopping Hackenberg. Boston College is good at stopping the run, not as good as us, but decent enough to stop Belton and anybody else that wants to give it a go, like Lynch. But I think they won't be able to stop Hackenberg as much as they think.
Well, when we come back, we're going to go to a short little break here. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the fan questions. I've gotten numerous amount of emails the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks even, about this bowl game. We're going to try and answer some of those questions, so be sure to stay tuned, and we'll be back after a couple-minute break. All right, well, welcome back to New York City. We're going to go ahead and answer some questions that we've been given these past 3 weeks. Had a lot, actually, overwhelmed, and I'm just very thankful for all those that have taken the time to send me some questions. We're going to start with Amy, the whole way out in Omaha, Nebraska. I think that's pretty great to have a Penn State fan out there. Amy has written to me many times this year. Amy's question is pretty simple. What does Penn State need to do to beat Boston College today?
Well, our defense needs to do the same as it's always been doing and just holding all those offenses back to about 17 to 18 points per game. I'd love them to shut them out, but let's be realistic. But then there's
definitely a possibility.
Oh, it's certainly a possibility, but I'm going to be realistic and just imagine Boston College will get some points here. Now, what we need to do is we just got to score. That's been the ailment that needs to occur. We need to score, and Hackenberg can do it. It was proven last season, and I think this is the right team we need to play in a bowl game in the situation we're in to win, because their defense is unlike the other Big Ten defenses that were prepared for Hackenberg. I don't think Boston College is as prepared. Their defense, I don't think is gonna allow for too much, but I think there's going to be a little bit more time for Hackenberg in the pocket, and he can get the ball to Jesse or Hamilton or whoever he wants. Now the difference is in my opinion, I don't think Hackenberg should really be throwing when we get to the red zone, because that's where I've seen a lot of many of his 15 interceptions occur.
Trying to force passes.
Yes, it's better if we use our running backs like Lynch or Belton, and we'll probably see more Belton today. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see Lynch more in the red zone action, considering he has a few more touchdowns, I think, than Belton does. So we'll have to see, but I think the running backs need to be utilized more towards the red zone, and I think we'll see a difference, because I think we'll see some more dump passes in this game as well.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, that certainly has worked for us for a good part of the season. I think the main thing, personally, that Penn State needs to do is, I hate to put all the pressure on the defense, but this defense it is essential to keep Boston College low scoring, because we know our offense does struggle. We don't want them to have to play comeback from down double-digit points, because then it could get kind of ugly. I'd say possibly have the defense score. Our defense is pretty good at that. I mean, Zettel is just a man to do that. Remember Ohio State game that really turned the game around right at the beginning of the second half? Something like that. I think good special teams play, not letting them go back on the opening kickoff for a touchdown. I mean, that killed us against Michigan State.
It did. It did. It could have been a 6-3 game there at halftime if we didn't let that happen. Yes.
And the momentum just went with them right after that happened. And I think for us, we need to have a little bit better a better job returning. I mean, Grant Haley's an outstanding return man. He's got a lot of speed. He proved that in the first game against UCF in Dublin, Ireland. I'd like to see him take one back. That'd be kind of cool opening kickoff, but who knows? I just think anything that can help the offense score, special teams or defense, would be key. If we get a defense or special team score, I think Penn State has a great shot of winning this football game.
Oh, yes, because Boston College's special teams has not done anything for this season. Ours has, but the difference is if our special teams is willing to complete a trick or something, if that's what Franklin wants to do. Franklin has given them tricks before to try, and unfortunately we failed on a couple of them, and we just have to watch the defense. I think we'll get an interception or two today. The question is if it's going to be closer to the red zone or not. I don't know if we're gonna score off of the defense, but I think we can get an interception or two, and it'll give the offense a good shot at scoring. I don't know if we'll get to the red zone. I'd like it to happen, but I'll keep dreaming until it occurs.
I know I'm going to take a lot of hate for this probably, but I am a fan of the Wildcat.
You are.
Now, a lot of people I know, when you go to the games, they send out the Wildcat formation, people boo and start to moan, but I will tell you why I like the Wildcat, and I think it could actually help us out today.
Oh, it will.
The Wildcat is meant for teams that have a struggling offensive line because it normally puts someone in motion that you're going to give the ball to, like, say, Hamilton or Lynch, and it's just a way for them to get out from behind the offensive line and out around the edges before the defensive line can penetrate. Now, it has worked for us. I mean, people don't like it, I think, because it's called sometimes at the wrong time.
Oh, yeah.
But I think if it's called at the right time, it has worked for us. It's scored for us 4 times this season. We have scored in the Wildcat 4 times this season. They've even passed from it, and if the pass was maybe 3 feet lower, it would have been a touchdown against the Buckeyes. I mean, it works, and you can run so much out of it. And I'd like to see some Wildcat today. Maybe not a whole lot, but I think you just got to keep the defense honest in Boston College. The offense, I believe, needs to score 2 touchdowns or more to win this game. You're not going to win this game by scoring 1 touchdown and relying on Sam Ficken every single possession to say, hey, sorry, we got down to the 20-yard line but can't finish. Can you go out there and finish for us? We need to finish in the end zone to win this game.
Well, I think James Franklin has Maryland in the back of his mind, and he knows that this game is not going to be settled off of 1 touchdown. And I mean, I agree with you with the Wildcat. A lot of people give me criticism for defending it too. If it's used at the right time, it'll work. And in this case, I think it could work because it's Boston College. Their defense is not as good as a lot of other Big Ten defenses. We could trick them, and we could potentially score off of it. It's going to confuse them. That's what the Wildcat is also meant to do. It's meant to confuse, and people they say, oh, they won't get confused or whatever. They will confuse this defense because this defense hasn't played Penn State for how long? Never. So it'll be an excellent time to perform the Wildcat.
Yeah, and I want to see Penn State get this win, and I think there's a lot of things that they've got to do, the little things they've got to do to win this game. So thank you for your question, Amy. Hope to see you next year. Now we're going to move on to Todd from State College. This is the first time hearing from Todd, so I appreciate him for his his email. He has a kind of interesting question. Belton or Lynch? Who should start for Penn State?
I would say Lynch because Lynch has overall more yards. He has over 600. Belton's back below 600. I think Lynch also has an extra touchdown. That shouldn't really make or break the difference. I think both should play because Belton is a senior, but I think Lynch should play because he's faster. Though smaller, he's faster. I think Belton should be utilized more with passing. He's because it's a good way to confuse the defense once again. Is he going to be a running back this time, or is he going to be a receiver this time? What are we going
Pass
to do?
blocker even.
Yes, exactly. And I think Franklin's going to do that this time. I think he's going to look. I'm praying and hoping over these past 3 weeks he looked back over the videos from prior seasons to what Belton and Zwinak were doing, and maybe this is what we need to do, because this is how these guys were successful back then. And even when the offensive line was good back then, even then they still made mistakes. So when they made mistakes, how did Belton or how did any other running back manage to correct the mistake and still get good yardage or a touchdown or any kind of score off of it? And I think Franklin did that over these 3 weeks. So I think we're going to see Belton utilized more for passing, hopefully.
Yeah, I look at, well, first you got to say Zach Zwinak, who had an outstanding career at Penn State. Terrible to see him go down with that broken leg in the opening kickoff against Ohio State.
Yeah.
Would have been great to have him. He's your power runner. He's your pass blocker. My question was always, why is Akeel Lynch out there trying to pass block? He's a much smaller back. He's a speedy back. I'm not saying I could do a better job than he could, 'cause I'm small too, but I think Belton's a much better pass blocker. I think Belton, you could do a little dump pass to him, and he would be much better there. I think I would start Bill Belton, but I would definitely rotate in Akeel Lynch much more. And something I'd kind of like to see maybe in the future, we don't know if we're going to see it today, probably not. But Franklin, if you're listening to this, maybe try Deshaun Hamilton out of the backfield every now and then. I think he's a running back built type of kid. I mean, he's your slot back. He's got tremendous speed. I mean, this kid you got a bright future for Penn State. I'd like to see him back there sometimes. Well, to answer your question, Todd, I would say Bill Belton. In my book, he's a senior. He's just got a little bit more experience under his belt. He's a little bit bigger. But I would like to see them both transition a good bit, because Lynch has just got that burst that you need to get momentum and big plays.
Yeah, Todd, I'll give you a definitive answer as well. I'll say Bill Belton, because he's a wild card, and Akeel Lynch as well. He'll be utilized as well. But whenever Bill Belton will go out into the field, the Boston College defense will once again freeze up a little bit, because they don't know what's going to be handed to them, as well as when they see Akeel Lynch, because Akeel Lynch is more of a running back.
All right, Todd, thank you for your question. We're going to take a break right now, and we're going to come back to you in a couple of minutes. So stay with us, guys. Thanks. All right, and welcome back to New York City. We are continuing with our questions. We got a question from Mike in State College, and Mike has written to me a couple times this year, later on in the season. It's good to hear from him always. And Mike has a pretty interesting question, and a pretty simple question. Who is Boston College's best player?
It's got to be their quarterback, Tyler Murphy. He has 11 touchdowns on the season in terms of passing, and he has 10 touchdowns on the season in terms of running. He is offensive gold. 1,079 yards in running, and then he has a completion rate of 57% when passing. He is like I said before, the one-trick pony. He may be a one-trick pony, but he's a serious threat. And if we want to stop the scoring, like you stated, it's entirely important that we take down Tyler Murphy. I don't care if you hit him. I don't care if you get him in an interception. He's got to be stopped.
Yeah, Tyler Murphy's definitely their best player. It sticks out to me. Think about it. He scored 120 of their points this season. 120 of their points is pretty outstanding. That's more than Ficken.
Definitely.
That's more than Ficken. And
definitely more than Hackenberg.
Hackenberg has had a little bit of a slump season, but I'm not losing faith yet.
No, not yet.
Murphy is just an outstanding quarterback. He has a lot of respect for Penn State. He's got a lot of respect for his team, of course. He's a great captain. He's a great leader. I look at his completion rate at 57%, and I look at that and I say, we kind of are in the same boat, but he doesn't pass a whole lot.
No.
Remember that. Think about look how many yards he has rushing. He has 1,079 yards.
Mm-hmm.
That's more than any running back we have.
Yes.
And he's still managing to throw 11 touchdown passes.
Mm-hmm. And they also have a regular running back in John Hillman, and he has over 700 yards. So
and 12 touchdowns.
Yes. So you could definitely argue that Boston College is going to be more of a threat in running. Now, with a completion rate of 57% versus Hackenberg's 54%, it's within the margin of error. But if he's scoring in terms of Hackenberg's with passing, and yet they're doing great with rushing, it's going to be a very, very chilling effect if our defense can't stop him. But I think they can, because this is a running defense. We can stop them. We can stop this guy. We faced people like him before, whether it's Braxton Miller or Gardner. Like I said before, I think we can stop this guy.
I think a running back that kind of comes to mind when I think of John Hillman is Ohio State's Ezekiel Elliott. Very powerful runner. He's got speed. Hillman's got 12 touchdowns this season. I will say that this team does not throw a whole lot. So I think he could have had a much better season. But watching his highlights, looking at his stats, it's just amazing what he has done. And I just am blown away by the fact that you can rush for 1,079 yards and still throw for 11 touchdowns. I mean, if you rush for 1,079 yards, you're running probably 90% of the time or 85% of the time. I don't know exactly what the exact percentages of runs and passes that they have, but to still throw 11 touchdowns, that's a majority of your passes, positive passes and touchdowns.
Well, you could argue the reason why is because they, like us, they played a somewhat weaker schedule, just like us in the early season. They played UMass away, and they won like 30-3, I think, or 30-7. So that could be where it was. They also had a loss at Pittsburgh. But even so, they had, when they needed to, their scores were bolstered when they played the weaker teams of the ACC, like the Syracuse. I think it was a 48-7 matchup. So this is where they got their touchdowns. I don't know if they were all rushing or if they were all passing in a game, but that's where they got their scores.
So to answer your question, Mike, we're both agreeing that Boston College quarterback Tyler Murphy is definitely their best player, their most threat of a player. Completion rate 57%, passing 11 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, which does hurt. But he did rush for 1,079 yards and 10 touchdowns on the ground. Total of 120 points for the Boston College Eagles. Now we go to our final question we're going to do today from Don, who's also in State College. I heard from Don earlier in the season, and a little bit in the middle of the season. Then he didn't write to me last two games, but it's good to see him writing back for the bowl game. He has a pretty great question. It makes you think a little bit. Who is Penn State's best defensive player?
I think it's got to be Mike Hall for this season. You can make arguments for other players, but I think it's going to be Mike Hall because he has disrupted the quarterbacks for almost every single team.
100+ tackles in the season.
Yep, and I think and in this game, I think he's going to take down Tyler Murphy. I think he's going to take him down once or twice, maybe 3 times behind the line alone. I think, and he's going to disrupt in the front ahead of the line as well. So we'll have to see. I think he can do it, and he's going to be the main. Him and Zettel, I think, as well. They're going to be the main problems for this Boston College offense.
Yeah, you bring up Zettel. I am a huge fan of Mike Hall. I think he's an outstanding linebacker. You could argue he's possibly one of the best that has come through here. Think about all the greats that have played here: Dan Connor, Paul Posluszny, Sean Lee. I mean, the list goes on, and he is just definitely amongst those greatest that have played here. I look at Anthony Zettel. You did mention him, defensive lineman who is in the backfield almost every play. He has 2 interceptions this season or 3?
I think so.
He has a pick 6 against the Buckeyes in the beginning of the second half to really get us back in that game. He's a real leader. He's just got a lot of energy. He's so hard to block. He's got quick hands. He's definitely one of my favorite players on defense. I think you can look at Dion Barnes, C.J. Alanion. I think the list can go on for this defense, who's just, in my opinion, one of the better defenses that has played here in Penn State. They are amongst the best. But I think it's Mike Hall, and I'm going to throw in Zettel. I'm going to throw in Zettel there as the best players on the defense. No disrespect to anybody else on the defense. I mean, it's such a hard decision to make.
It is. This defense is the main reason why we are going to a bowl game, and we are here today. If you look at the games that were close, like Rutgers, Indiana, and UCF, even though the offense was not playing at its best, it's still our defense held them back, and they were able to, and our offense was able to get the scores necessary for those 3 wins. And if our defense didn't hold, and our defense wasn't as stellar, just like in our losses, we wouldn't be sitting here in New York right now.
Yeah, I look at it and think about the bench players that go in and play. Sub in for a couple plays. Boblitz is a good player. Naeem Wortman was a great player for the defense. I think Trevor Williams has really stepped up. Jordan Lucas has done a great job. Amos, who's leaving us at the end of the season, has just been a great leader. Definitely made an impact on the defense. So to answer your question, I think, again, I'm going to say Zettel, and Michael's going to go with Mike Hall, but the list is just extremely long. I put all 11 of them on there. It's just a great defense.
Yes, definitely, and I can definitely say that we will hopefully see 100% from our defense today, and I think we'll get it.
Yeah, they're gonna give it their all, especially these seniors. It's their last game. They're gonna want to be remembered. They will be remembered forever in Penn State, and they're gonna give it their all today to win this game for Penn State themselves, their coaching staff, the fans, and I know they're thinking of Joe. I know they're thinking of Joe in this game. We're going to go to our last break, and when we come back, we're going to give you our predictions, our score predictions for today in the bowl game. The game is at 4:30 against Boston College right here in Yankee Stadium, so stay with us, and we'll see you at the end of the break. And welcome back to New York City. We are just about to give you our game predictions. Just a fun fact for you. First time we played Boston College was in 1950. Penn State won at Boston College 20-13, but Boston College was 0-9 that season. So
I don't know if that's a good score for that.
That's I don't know. That could go either way. That's a fun fact for you. That's a fun fact for you. Long time ago.
Yeah.
If you remember those days, I'm not calling you old.
Oh, I wasn't there those days.
No,
so
neither was I. So we're going to give you our pregame predictions. Last one of the season. It's kind of sad it's coming to an end personally for me, but
don't worry. There's another season after that.
There's another season to come and many more to come, and it'll be here before you know it. We'll be doing the blue and white game this spring.
Right. Let's hope that we have a nice, beautiful blue and white as we did last season.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that was packed. There was probably 90,000 people there. Beautiful day.
Yeah,
blue sky, kind of like today.
It's been a while since I've seen a blue and white like that, because the years before that it was all, everyone hides underneath the bleachers because it's raining and misting, and so it was very nice to see a blue and white like that.
I mean, it is absolutely beautiful here today in New York City. Bright blue sky, not too cold. It's perfect day for football. Not your typical December 27th day in New York City, but hey, we'll take it for football.
Certainly, definitely, especially where we're sitting.
All right, so we are going to start with our predictions. Michael, do you want to go ahead and start?
All right, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to take some criticism for it, but I'm going to say 23-20 Penn State.
23-20. So you feel that we can score 23 points?
I think we can. In this game, it's entirely different. All cards are not shown. It's like Syracuse from last season and UCF of this season. It's an out of conference team. Their defense is different. they don't have but yet they have an offensive threat that we haven't seen this season before, and our defense might have some hiccups because I mean, Tyler Murphy is an offensive threat when running, and he can still pass the ball. So it's gonna be a very interesting game, and I think it's gonna come down to a field goal or two. It's gonna be one of those games, but I think we're gonna win it.
Yeah, I look at John Hillman too. We were talking a little earlier about their running back, who's another good threat for them. I can see a higher scoring game. I like where you're going with that. I would be happy to see us get 23 points. Personally, in my opinion, I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I'm picking Penn State to win, but I'm picking them 20-10. I'm saying 20-10. I know 3 points less than yours. But
you're gonna criticize me for 3 points.
No, I'm not criticizing you. I hope you're right. I say we get 2 touchdowns. Hopefully, if we get 3, one will be on defense maybe. But I think we get 2 touchdowns, and Ficken always scores at least 2 field goals for us. So I mean, it makes sense to say 20 or 23 points.
It's a betting game to see how many field goals we kick each game.
Yeah.
We're going to be over 3 or less than 3.
My mother always says we're going to field goal them to death.
Back in my day, yeah, right. A few years ago when we played Temple, it was a field goal game. It was I remember it was everyone was cheering when we got to 15 points all off of field goals over Temple, and we soared ahead. 5 field goals. It was 15-14 then, and then we finally scored a touchdown to seal the deal. Oh, well, who knows? Mike McQuarrie may have done such a thing, but I can't remember the entire game.
Well, it was a great season, Michael. We look forward to seeing you guys next year. We're going to do another preseason video. I remember this beginning of the season, we said Penn State had a chance of going 12-0 or 11-1, and I will be honest with you. This team, with the way that they have played in their good games, had that chance. I truly think there was some games they were ripped off. Ohio State, Michigan, that's 2 wins. They could have beaten Northwestern. They could have beaten Maryland. Right there's 10-2.
Well, here
Michigan State, the way that they played, impressed me.
Yes, I hear.
Illinois, they should have won that game. I mean, it's a letdown.
To be honest with you, 10-2 is about where they should have been. I've said this with a lot of people. 2 games were off of 1 play. Maryland and Illinois, when it comes down to 2 or 3 points or 1 point, it's a 1 play call really, because I mean 1 play really made the difference to allow for those 3 points to overtake you, and then you've got to look back and say Ohio State. I'm sorry, but we got ripped off.
Oh, I know people from Ohio State that have even agreed with us. That was a terrible.
There were 3. There were at least 3 different occasions in there where the refs were. It was. I'm not even gonna begin to talk about it.
Oh, I'll begin to talk about it. We got another 30 seconds.
Well,
here.
Oh yeah. Well, like whenever interceptions aren't actually interceptions, they shouldn't be called interceptions. And then when play clocks are 3 seconds past, and then when you're not supposed to hand signal with a cross over your chest. You're supposed to put your hands over your head, but that doesn't occur to refs these days, I guess.
Right. Yeah, well, they make up their own rules as they go along.
But yeah, 10-2.
6-6 season. Like I said at the beginning of the speech here, it could have been a lot better, but it could have been worse.
Oh,
we're
yes.
here in a bowl game. We should be very thankful that we're here. Now it's time to go out and prove to all the naysayers wrong that we belong here and we're back. I feel very confident, and I want to thank all the viewers. You guys have been outstanding this season, like always. I apologize for not posting too many videos. My computer is awful. I'm surprised it's working this long, to be honest with you. It crashes a lot, so once we get these problems fixed, I will be making many more videos. But you guys are just outstanding subscribers. I am enjoying the emails. The link will be down in the bottom of the video. You can send me an email. I'll try and answer it. Maybe we'll do a mid-spring video, but we'll see you guys next season at the Blue and White game. And as always, we are Penn State.